Getting into the film, we are introduced to the protagonists as they ride along a road. Michael asks his girlfriend Caitlin how many Christmas places she's been to that were scary. She thinks Christmas isn't the kind of holiday to induce fear, but he says she has never seen anything like what they are about to. Mummer night gets very weird, he adds. Then she sees her cell phone has no service, making Michael say this is her last chance, and they could turn back if she wants to. She turns the desire around on him, asking if he's the one who wants to turn around. He replies it has been a long time. Plus, she should know how complicated families are. Driving by a factory, Michael says it looked better long ago. It closed before he left, and it ruined people. The next scene has the couple at a gas station, where Caitlin enters the washroom. Someone wearing a mask is watching her. Her trip to see Michael's hometown starts with a bang, because the person comes out to attack her. She manages to slam him off her, but he follows her outside. He rips off her necklace and escapes. When Michael rushes to her, she informs him of what happened. This situation prompts him to say that going there was a mistake. However, Caitlin won't let this misfortune change her plans. Back in the car, Michael tries to start it. There is a trick to turning it on, he says. Thus, he wiggles the key in the ignition lock cylinder to get the car running. Caitlin worries about her stolen necklace, considering it was from her mom. When they ride away, we see her attacker in the shadows, watching them. Upon arriving at their destination, she puts her hand on Michael, saying she is glad to have him. He thanks her for those words. Afterward, the couple exits the car and walks into a rural area. Michael seems to be lost, causing Caitlin to ask if he is. Not wanting to admit it, he says he isn't. As they keep walking, they pass a man dressed in a Santa costume. He strums his guitar while they say Merry Christmas to him. He just watches them walk until he calls out to Michael, saying he looks familiar. Drawing nearer, he says Michael is the son of a woman who has Goss as her last name. Therefore, he welcomes Michael home. Turning to Caitlin, he welcomes her too. When she says they are a little lost, Michael feels bad. The Santa man replies that is what he gets for leaving the place he's from. He couples his words with an uncomfortable stare, but he also says Michael's mom's trailer has moved and he wants to show them where it is. So he takes them to the crossroads from which they can locate it. Once he leaves, the couple gets startled by a disguised woman. She throws a riddle at them, asking what is one's relation to one's father's sister's sister-in-law. Caitlin does not need much time to give her the correct answer. It's one's mother. Then the woman removes her mask to reveal a lady in her late middle age. She happens to be Michael's mother, hugging her son. She also hugs his girlfriend, who offered a mere handshake. In this town, hugging is the proper greeting. She hopes they are hungry because she's cooked a feast. As the trio walks, the mother, Edith, explains the difference between Halloween and mummering to Caitlin. She adds that she has a costume for her. Soon she stops near a dealer for him to give her a substance. She tells Caitlin she smokes to help with her pain. A man near them greets Michael, welcoming him back from the city. Looking at the dealer, Caitlin notices something is not right with him. His look makes her search his coat until she takes a purse out of it. Searching inside the purse allows her to find her stolen necklace. She tells Edith what the dealer did, and she questions him if it's true. Since he does not answer, she asks again with a stricter tone. Now he is forced to leave with Michael's friend Chester. As they walk away, Edith yells out that she no longer associates with him. Elsewhere, Chester tells the dealer Warren that his problem is he does not think. Defending himself, Warren responds that Chester is planning something much worse. There is a sudden creaking sound in there, getting Chester to look in its direction, but he does not see anything. In the next scene, the trio enters Edith's home. When Caitlin goes to the washroom, Michael asks his mother what she thinks of his girlfriend. Caitlin is priceless, she says. Later, we see Warren cutting plants at his place. He hears something and calls out to Chester. He does not get an answer. Instead, he sees someone standing behind the door, which startles him. Warren thinks the person is Chester, so he starts talking to him. We don't know if it's him because he walks inside wearing a disguise. He gives Warren a riddle, saying to put his fingers in his eyes, and he will open wide his jaws. Cloth or paper, his greedy lust devours them all. He asks Warren what he is, making the dealer say he's very annoying. Supposedly that was the wrong answer, for the stranger uses plant cutters to stab Warren in the head. Back at the house, Caitlin seems happy to be reunited with her necklace in the washroom. Returning to the living room, she sees a new person talking with Michael. She introduces herself to Caitlin as Sophia, Michael's sister. Once Caitlin says he told her a lot about Sophia, his sister says it's a lie. She also says her brother is full of secrets. Following this odd introduction, the family sits down at the table to have dinner. Michael shows Caitlin his brother Bobby in a nearby photo. Edith says he recently got released from jail and is wondering what he's going to do with his life. When Sophia mentions her father took it, Edith gives an upset look. Michael looks upset too, saying he told Caitlin that he lost his life, but he did not say how. After the factory closed, he was never the same, says the mother. Caitlin can relate, due to having lost her mom. Meanwhile, two disguised people enter the house. The one in yellow asks, "What has teeth yet does not eat?" Sophia is the one to guess this riddle. She says it's a comb. With the riddle solved, the guests remove their masks before joining the rest of the family. They are Bobby and Taylor. The latter is Sophia's girlfriend. Being new to the tradition of this town, Caitlin asks with some concern if they all just let strangers walk into their homes wearing masks without worrying about it. This prompts the family members to laugh. Edith replies Caitlin is using city thinking. In this town, everyone more or less knows each other. However, Sophia says there are old tales of mummer assassinations, and Michael informs Bobby of what Warren did to Caitlin. Alone with Edith, Caitlin says she's sorry about what happened to Edith's husband. Michael didn't tell her much about it. In the meantime, Bobby is arguing on the landline with someone about his daughter. His anger makes him slam the phone down. Michael tries to talk to him, but Bobby gives an attitude and storms out of the house. On a more positive note, Edith brings Caitlin her mummer costume. She holds the young lady's face, telling her to live as long as she wants, and never want as long as she lives. Outside the house, Caitlin is now in her mummer costume. Taylor reminds her that mummering is not limited to merely being costume. Caitlin also has to have a riddle. We see Bobby did not leave completely, for he sits nearby. After he rejoins the family, they all head for Chester's house. Near it, they encounter someone who gives a riddle that the person answers himself. Removing his mask, he reveals himself to be none other than Chester. Michael tells his girlfriend Chester used to date Sophia. Hearing this causes Chester to say there is one thing Taylor cannot give to Sophia. Thus Taylor tells him to show what it is, but he bails out. Another disguised person comes to Caitlin and starts twirling her around. Not appreciating it, she knees him in the groin. This is their cue to put on their masks and enter the house party. The place is full of disguised people. Caitlin tells Sophia she wants her riddle to be good, yet she doesn't know any. Sophia has one she wants to give her, so she whispers it to Caitlin. She approaches Chester to say it to him despite him already knowing who she is. Her riddle is this: she is born this way, wanted by everyone, and cherished until her wedding day. Chester says it's an easy riddle. The answer is she's a virgin. When Caitlin is dancing with Michael, Taylor tells his siblings he won't let his girlfriend out of his sight. For some reason, this is a problem. Chester thinks he has a solution. Moving along, we see the man to whom Caitlin delivered pain. As he walks outside, he encounters someone in front of him. Whoever the stranger is, the attacked man says he had enough of this nonsense for 1 year. Ignoring him, the stranger draws closer to offer a riddle. He says he is locked inside a boat, but one can steal him. The man says the answer is a heart. Whether this is correct or not does not matter to the disguised stranger, because he impales the man with his weapon. Back at the house, Michael's siblings talk to him alone. Sophia says he hit the jackpot with Caitlin. When she mentions Caitlin is rich, Michael says it's not about the money. He asks if money is all they talk about. This question makes his sister ask if he has forgotten what it's like to live in this awful place. At this moment, Caitlin approaches and claims that Sophia's description of the town is selling it short. She loves it there. Sophia tells her brother not to mess it up with Caitlin, to which Caitlin responds he could not get rid of her if he tried. When the couple leaves, Bobby and Sophia are disappointed. Alone in a bedroom, Caitlin tells Michael he has a real family. Plus, he has a community of people who look out for each other. Where she is from, it's all walls. He does not know how good this place is, she adds. Michael replies, her dad cares about her. He wants her to know he called a few times and he's trying, but she says the calls come with conditions. One of them is for her to dump Michael. Hearing this upsets him, and Caitlin tells him her dad is a bad person. He does not think anyone is good enough. Even she isn't good enough. However, she likes her life regardless of what her dad thinks. Being with Michael makes it better. After he says he loves her, she returns those words to him. Shifting to his problem, he says his family took it rather hard when he left. Caitlin tries to remove his worry by saying now he is back, so they must appreciate it. As they are kissing on the bed, Caitlin sees someone in the window and screams. Michael rushes to it, seeing no one there. Later, the group is outside, leaving the house. Another disguised person gets in their way. This one is very goofy, calling himself Johnny Funny, who collects their money. His riddle is, what tastes better than it smells? Bobby points to his tongue, which is the correct answer. As Johnny dances out of there, Michael says they should find his mom. Taylor hears him talking to Caitlin about what they're going to do and looks uneasy. The next scene has them returning home, but Edith is not there. Bobby thinks she went mummering, proving him wrong. She suddenly presents herself, scaring Caitlin in her costume more than anyone else. Michael says people have been scaring his girlfriend all night. Edith responds that it's because she's new. Afterward, we see the mummer party taking place outside for some time, until we focus on a lost Caitlin. She calls out to Michael, yet does not receive an answer. Somehow the others seem to know she is new by looking at her, even though she's wearing the costume. Becoming uneasy, she breaks protocol by removing her mask before walking away. The stranger from earlier seems to follow her with a hook in his hand. Soon we learn he followed Chester, not her. He asks the stranger why he's doing it. When he doesn't talk back, Chester taunts him. All the stranger cares about is delivering his riddle. He says he's not right, but he's mistaken for true. People know him as an enemy disguised as a friend. He wants Chester to tell him what he is. Instead of answering him, Chester laughs. This prompts the stranger to take his life with the hook. While Caitlin walks alone, she sees 3 people following her. She tells them she had a rough night and wants to be left alone. Not listening to her, one of them yells they just want to play. Caitlin is forced to hide under a house, watching the hooligans walk by. After they leave, one appears to scare her into running out. She rejoins the crowd, asking a few strangers where the Gosses are. Thankfully, Michael finds her and says he looked for her everywhere. When she informs him of what happened, he wants to know who those people are. Of course, Caitlin does not know. He says today has been a lot for both of them. Thus, we see them walking back to his mom's house. Getting there, they discover Michael's car has been vandalized by spray paint. Caitlin doesn't want to engage in any more mummering and wants to stay the night at one of Michael's family members' homes. She notices something unnerving. All the other cars are spotless except Michael. She reasons someone doesn't want them to leave. Being optimistic, her boyfriend thinks it's merely their bad luck. Subsequently, the couple meets up with Taylor and Sophia near their house. Michael tells them they are done for the night. When they ascend the stairs, we see what looks like paint residue on Taylor's hand. Inside, the couple drinks tea while talking to Sophia and her girlfriend. Since the former duo is spending the night there, Sophia tells them where their bed is. Left alone with Michael, Caitlin says she won't be able to sleep. Switching to the ladies, Taylor says she kind of likes Caitlin. Sophia agrees she is a good match for her brother. Consequently, Taylor feels bad about what they have to do. Back to the guests, Michael asks Caitlin if she is going to bail on him. She says the bad things that happened weren't from. Observing from her point of view, we see she is dizzy. She tells the now sleeping Michael to wake up. Right before she dozes off herself, she sees 2 masked people in front of her. Later, Michael wakes up alone on the couch and calls out to Caitlin. He searches for her in the house, but can't find her. No one is there, so he leaves the place in confusion to look for them. Elsewhere, Caitlin wakes up restrained beside a disguised person keeping watch over her. We see Bobby talking to someone on the phone. Sophia is there with him. When Michael enters the room, she pushes him away. Michael hears Bobby telling the person he wants $1 million in cash prior to sunrise. If he makes a mistake, he will receive his daughter in pieces. After the phone call, Michael asks them what they are doing. His brother says they're taking a more direct route than his romantic angle. Yet it isn't any kind of angle for Michael because he loves Caitlin for real. He demands to know where she is. His sister tries to calm him, saying the threat he heard wasn't serious. It does not matter to him. He still wants to know where she was taken. Bobby says he will get his girlfriend back after all of this. When Michael exits the house, Sophia follows him. She tells him this is about child support and their mother's medical bills. It's also for their father. He wants his sister to understand that he wants to spend the rest of his life with the lady they kidnapped. But she wants him to let this messy situation play out, and his life will return to normality. She even dares to say that things will not go well if he messes this up. However, he goes searching for Caitlin regardless. Shifting to her, she hears Michael calling her name. He hears her struggle and enters the building to fight the disguised individual guarding her. The man is full of anger, so he bangs the person's head against the ground repeatedly to the point where few can doubt the person is deceased. Once Caitlin becomes free, she takes off the person's mask to reveal that it's Taylor. She wonders why the lady would do this to her. The scene ends before Michael can answer. Later, the couple walks together. Caitlin learns the horrifying truth that her boyfriend's siblings are complicit in her kidnapping. Michael tells her about his plan to escape. Therefore, they walk until they arrive at Warren's house. Searching the place, Caitlin finds a lifeless Warren and Chester behind a door. She screams in fear, making her boyfriend rush to her to hold her mouth. She thinks his siblings did this, but he tells her they are not assassins. Caitlin finds car keys in Warren's pocket along with a box that contains a big handgun. With those two essentials, the couple exits the house. They are about to get inside a truck, only to be stopped by Sophia. Crying, she says they took Taylor's life. Caitlin says Michael had to do it for the former, not to suffer a similar fate as the two deceased people they just found. Interestingly, Sophia does not know about their lifeless states. She thinks Michael took their lives too. She admits to having done a lot of bad in her life. Being an assassin, though, is something she never came close to. During their heated conversation, Sophia tells Caitlin of Michael's corrupt nature, that he would do anything for money. Caitlin asks him if this is true, and he wants her to know this was before he got to know her. His sister accuses him of being the one who took everyone's lives. Plus, all of them were people Caitlin ran into. As Sophia holds a knife towards Caitlin, the latter points the gun she found at her. Although the gun is superior, Sophia doesn't think the newcomer has it in her to shoot a person. Thus, she directs herself at Caitlin, but makes a mistake with such a decision. After she gets shot, Michael holds his sister and agonizes over seeing her like this. Caitlin uses this time to get inside the truck to drive out of this crazy town alone. Michael does not let her get away by joining her. He says what Sophia said was not true. He stops the truck and steals the gun to point it at her. The poor lady is devastated that he lied to her from the start. However, he lied prior to having fallen in love with her. If she doesn't believe him, he wants to prove that he loves her. To prove it, she says, he should stay in this town and not follow her. Then she exits the truck and sees someone approaching them in a mask. Michael steps out too, looking at the stranger, who asks where their sister is. When the stranger takes off the mask, they see it is Bobby. He walks closer to Michael, asking him if he chose the rich lady over his own family. At this uncomfortable moment, Michael rushes for the gun on the ground, yet his brother beats him to it. He points it at Caitlin, who says if he shoots her, he will never see his daughter again. Saving her, Michael jumps on Bobby and throws many punches at him on the ground. Caitlin watches the brutality of. After he is done, Michael stands up to tell Caitlin that meeting her caused all of this chaos. His entire family is deceased thanks to her, so he points the gun at her. Regardless of his pointing, he does not shoot her when she starts to run away, even though he easily could. Instead, he uses his mouth as a weapon, yelling there is nowhere for her to run. Soon she makes it to his car and sits inside, locking him out. Standing nearby, he is left with delivering his final riddle. He says he creates tragedy, yet is chaste and desired the most. He wants Caitlin to guess what he is. The sole answer she can think of is that he is a monster, but the correct answer is that he is love. He says she loves him, prompting Caitlin to shake her head. He continues by saying they are supposed to have a great life together. He would take lives for her, and already has. As he talks, she tries to start his car. We should remember there is a trick to it. Since she can't get it to operate, Michael says she is stuck with him. He gets angry, yelling for her to open the door. Fortunately, she gets the car to start by using Michael's wiggling trick in the ignition lock cylinder. The first thing she does with the working vehicle is slam her past boyfriend with it. Then she goes in reverse to run him over. After stepping out of the car to look at him, she cries due to what she has done. Although he was bad, she still has many good memories with him. Therefore, she cannot believe what had happened. In a short time, a car arrives. The person who exits it happens to be her father. Just when Caitlin's situation starts to improve, it gets coupled with ugliness. Edith suddenly appears to grab Caitlin from behind while holding a knife to her. As the trio walks elsewhere, Edith tells Caitlin's dad he might like to see how his former employees live now. Caitlin learns that many of the townspeople worked in her father's factory. Edith says Michael was smart to get out during the time he still could. She also reveals that shutting the factory down destroyed them. The man says it was merely business, but Edith believes it was that only for him. For them, it was much more. In the process of setting his suitcase down, Caitlin's father starts getting attacked by the desperate mother. The suitcase flies out of the man's grasp, and Caitlin comes to it as they fight. Opening it, she yells if Edith thinks the money within will solve her problems. She follows those words by emptying the banknotes that caused this hellish ordeal into the nearby fire. Alas, Edith stabs her dad at the same moment. Then she rushes to the burning money and cries. In a desperate attempt to save as much of it as she can, Edith catches on fire, which quickly causes her to lose her life. Poor Caitlin is left in the awful position of not only her boyfriend being deceased, but also her father. Everyone has lost their life except her.